The O'Reilly Factor is on. Tonight, the lawyers move in. A federal lawsuit is being filed on behalf of the 6 students expelled for fighting in Decatur, Illinois. We'll talk with the attorney representing the students. Jesse Jackson backing down. We'll bring you up to date on what could be a major disaster for the Reverend. Donald Trump wants your money, if you're rich, that is. We'll have his latest antics. And Jackie Mason will weigh in on the Hillary and Rudy show. That should be interesting. The Factor begins in 90 seconds.
Live, I'm Sheila Stayback. The Navy has recovered the cockpit voice recorder from EgyptAir Flight 990. The Navy is hoping it will answer some new questions raised by the flight data recorder, which they found Tuesday. Meanwhile, investigators say a flight simulator could help investigators find out why EgyptAir Flight 990 crashed. They'll travel to Boeing headquarters next week to look into that. Democrats and Republicans are both praising this week's education budget compromise. The Senate's top Republican used the party's weekly radio address to stress the fact it gives local authorities more say on spending it.
We share your concern about Washington bureaucrats meddling in local schools and using students and teachers as guinea pigs for every new fad that tries to take the place of the 3 R's. That's why we're giving local educators, the teacher and the principals in your communities, unprecedented leeway to use those federal dollars for the real needs of the kids in their classrooms.
During his radio talk, President Clinton called this a good week for America, because he received the plan that he had to hire 100,000 new teachers. In North Carolina, the Cape Hatteras lighthouse beam is shining out to sea once again. The lighthouse beacon has been dimmed as the structure was moved more than a half-mile back last summer to protect it from the surf. Next update will be at the bottom of the hour, straight ahead on Fox News Channel. Stay tuned for the O'Reilly Factor.
Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thank you for watching us tonight. Well, Jesse Jackson is backing down. That's the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. The Reverend now says he will accept alternative school for the 6 expelled students in Decatur, Illinois. That's because we called him on his misstatements and he had no answer. Quite simply, Jesse Jackson was wrong to get involved in this situation. The punishment meted out by the school district to the 7 students who instigated a brawl at the football game was fair. And Jackson misled the American people about the situation and was allowed to do so by the elite media, but not here. If you watched us last night, you got the entire story, and now the American people know that the Decatur School Board was fair, gave the students an opportunity to defend themselves, which they declined, and offered to place them in an alternative school so they could continue their educations. Somehow Jackson's rhetoric overlooked those facts. Jackson has now done massive damage to America on 2 fronts. First, he has succeeded in making these students victims in the eyes of some. They are not victims. They are troubled kids who need close supervision. And second, he continues to polarize Americans along racial lines. I mean, come on. Fair-minded people know Jackson was not entirely honest in this case. He distorted the facts and demagogued the issue. His credibility now sinks. Who does that help? Black Americans who have real problems that need solving? Violent students? Who? As I said yesterday, Jesse Jackson should be out there demonstrating for tough discipline in all American schools. That's the only thing that is going to give students a real chance to learn. Where is Jackson on that issue anyway? The silence is deafening. And that's the memo. We'll have your mail on the subject at the end of the broadcast. Now for the top story tonight. A federal lawsuit has been filed on behalf of the 6 students expelled in Decatur, and joining us now from that town is attorney Louis Myers, who is heading up the litigation. So, Counselor, you contend the rights of the fighting students have been violated. How so?
Well, yes, Bill, I do. Our position is that the policy of zero tolerance of the school board, which resulted in a 2-year suspension initially, was grossly disproportionate to the nature of the offense. When you have a policy that is arbitrary and capricious, then the policy itself is in fact subjected to challenge. So we were in the federal district court today. We're going to have a full hearing on the 22nd of November. We're challenging, because all over the country now, by the way, many school districts are adopting this zero tolerance policy. And for the most part, very few people really know what zero tolerance is, including most school boards. And we think it's vague and void, and we think it has to be challenged. We think the case in Decatur is a classic example of how the policy can actually be abused. There were no injuries as a result of the fight. There were no gunshots, no use of weapons. None of that occurred. The fight lasted for less than 7 minutes. The videotape, which everybody in America has seen by now, was only 17 seconds. You need to know, and this is very important, the same school board, for the possession of a narcotics quantity of drugs, a student was only given a year. For a student in this school district that called in and threatened to blow the school up, he was only disciplined for a year. For students who had, one student who came to school and was found in possession of a weapon on the school campus, he only got a year, no more than a year and a half.
All right.
Students who were involved in a fight that did not involve weapons, did not involve knives or guns or any of that, were subjected to an arbitrary policy, an arbitrary period
All
of
right, now I think we got your case, and everybody in America has now heard you, and then they know now I'm going to have to take you to task, and we'll get very micro on this. First of all, as you know, the school board did rescind the 2-year expulsion to 1 year. And the governor of the state of Illinois said, not only will we bring it down to 1 year, but we will allow these students to attend alternative school where they can get more supervision. Now, that seems to be eminently reasonable in my estimation. Am I wrong?
Of course you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Let me tell you what's eminently reasonable. This school board, prior to July of 1999, had a policy for fighting incidents like this. The maximum penalty was 10 days. Even if you had a gang-related activity, you would only be expelled for 3 days. And let me just say this. The policy of 10 days made sense then, it makes sense now.
To you.
But even assuming that, they have been out now 2 months, that's in gross proportion.
All right, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to it. Now, as a former teacher, I saw this not as a fight, but as a riot. And we did some research, Counselor, and you might be interested to know that 6 people were hurt. Not none, 6. And all 6 who filed accident reports were civilians. There were people watching the football game.
No, Bill, you need to get your facts straight because you're off base. I have been here on the ground. I've read every report. There were 6 accident reports. None of those reports involved injury. So I would suggest that you go back and look at what you had.
Wait a minute. What is an accident report if it's not an injury? What is it?
No. An accident report is that an incident happened, but it does not indicate that nobody down here, including the police, claims 6 people got hurt.
The superintendent told us last night on this program that 6 people filed accident reports because they had minor injuries. So is he lying?
If in fact, I have been, of course. Well, if he in fact said that, let's just say very mildly. I want to be diplomatic.
Well, we want to be accurate here.
And he would be inaccurate. A fair characterization.
Well, we'll see. We'll see who comes forward and who says what. Now, I want to take a break, Counselor, and we'll come back with another segment. When we come back, I'm a former high school teacher. All right, and I've seen things like this.
I am a teacher now.
Okay, and I've seen things like this happen before.
12 years.
And I think that in this case, severe discipline had to be happening. I'll explain why when we get back. And then, on the Factor tonight, what exactly is wrong with medical care in this country? Why are so many Americans getting a bad deal? We'll get very specific on that. Also up ahead, Senator Orrin Hatch on whether Governor Bush has the right stuff. Be right back.
Mix 1 packet Hidden Valley Ranch with 1/4 cup oil and 2 pounds potatoes. Shake well, then bake. Hidden Valley Ranch, 1 packet, endless possibilities.
The most powerful V6 engine in its class. The most interior space in its class. Amenities that would surprise you in any class. For those seeking refuge from mediocrity and compromise, we offer the Sanctuary. Presenting the all-new Infiniti i30. It's all the best thinking.
It's in a jar, in the car, in a drawer, on the floor. It's all over the place. So where's your loose change? This holiday season, cash in with a perfect gift, the Money Wrapper. The automated coin machine that sorts, stacks, counts, and wraps your loose change in one easy step. Just place the coin wrappers in the Money Wrapper and drop in a handful of loose change. The Money Wrapper switches on automatically, spinning and separating the coins, then sending them down the chute to be sorted. Pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters all drop into their own removable tubes. Up to hundreds of coins a minute, automatically stacked, counted, and all wrapped up, and it shuts off by itself. Turn holiday cash into holiday fun. Simply pull the lever and start piling up those neat rolls of counted wrap money. So wrap up your gift giving today with the Money Wrapper. Take advantage of this special holiday offer, incredibly priced at $19.95. The Money Wrapper. It makes perfect sense and a perfect gift.
Call 1-800-826-5665. This special holiday offer won't last long, so call now.
Hi, I need your help. Every 12 minutes, someone dies from leukemia, lymphoma, or myeloma. The Leukemia Society of America is finding cures through research and helping patients and their families. Won't you join me in helping them?
Saturday.
Sex, drug addiction, poor parenting, scandalous affairs on the road to forgiveness and redemption. Actor, singer, and controversial author Eddie Fisher and Jade Barrymore, the mother of Hollywood sweetheart Drew Barrymore, tell all on the next Judith Regan Tonight.
Tonight, get your news straight from the source. Complete coverage, unbiased reporting, powerful prime time. It can only be Fox News Channel prime time. Entertaining, irreverent, she'll ask the questions tonight on Judith Regan Tonight.
Continuing now with Attorney Lewis Myers, representing 6 expelled students in Decatur, Illinois. Now, 3 of those students, as you know, Counselor, are third-year freshmen, which means that they were not promoted for 3 years, they're still freshmen. Cumulatively, the school board tells us that among the 6 students that you are representing, they had over 350 days of truancy last year. So we're talking about some troubled kids here. I think everybody would agree that these are not model citizens. Would you agree with that?
No, I mean, let me tell you what I would agree. No, let me tell you what I would agree. I would agree that like many other kids in America, certainly some of these kids have had some prior problems, but the answer is not to lock them out of education.
Well, wait. Now, let me stop you there. If they're providing an alternative school for the kids, which they are, that's not locking them out. That's what Jackson said, and that's a misstatement and a distortion.
Let me tell you what that is doing. It's not, it is locking them out to the extent that why should they accept something less than what fairness and right and justice
because
demand.
They broke the rules,
and fairness
Counselor,
and right and
because
justice
they broke the rules.
That they be returned to school like every other student.
They're not entitled to do
for
that.
Almost 10 or 15 years.
Battery does not entitle you to accept anything, Counselor. They committed a crime. They are being charged with a crime. That is enough
let me make one
to
thing.
put them into an alternative
with crime
school.
by a vindictive prosecutor who knew that if these charges were filed 61 days after the alleged incident, they had
is this a vindictive videographer who took this video? Is he vindictive too, Counselor? Come on. You know as well as I do that these
now you're
kids...
engaging now, Bill, in some horrible sophistry. We're not saying that what happened at this... First of all, let me make clear on like your program, nobody's condoning the violence. That is wrong.
You're enabling it. You're not condoning it.
That was wrong now.
You're not condoning it, Counselor. You are an enabler. You are enabling this stuff to continue to happen across the country.
I am enabling
you're
people in
these
America
people
to
as
know
victims.
that there are people who realize what right and fair and right and justice is. It is unjust and unfair to punish these kids by the length of the punishment, by the severity of it compared to the offense. If somebody would have been shot, you see, you have to look at this. In this school system, there have been 1,700 suspensions. 1,038 of those happen to be blacks. Blacks only comprise 38%.
So you think this is a racial thing against... You think this is a racial thing when this fight broke out?
In fact, let me tell you what I do believe it is. I believe it is an insensitive school board with the policy that has to change, and that's why I'm in the federal district court.
All right, and I understand that that's what you believe, but you have to understand that I and many other Americans believe that people like you are the reason there's no discipline left in the school and that these things happen. Now, the best thing that could happen to these kids would be to be put in an alternative school where they get close supervision. That's the best thing.
After almost 30 years in the civil rights movement, it's people like me you know, that has brought America to a level of sanity with people like you who believe like that.
Oh, come on.
But as far as I'm concerned...
Let's talk about the kids for the last 2 minutes, all right? You got 3 kids who are third-year freshmen. You got 6 kids cumulatively 350 days where they didn't show up. And you don't want to take them out of the school or put them in another school where they'll be closely supervised?
No, I want to put them right back.
You're not doing those kids any favors.
I want to put them right back, Bill, where they came from, where they deserve to be.
Yeah, well, they're doing so well, aren't they? They're doing so well there, Counselor. You're not doing these kids any favors.
As well as they could. I judge people by the skills that God gave them. And if some people have greater skills or lesser skills, then that's a talent that we have to work on.
Oh, it takes a lot of skill to show up for class, doesn't it?
The answer, Bill, is not to lock them out. The answer is to bring them in.
Oh,
the educational objective of the public school system is to educate, you know, and education means give them every available opportunity.
All right, but I mean, Counsel, look, I respect your point of view here, but I think you're hurting these kids by what you're doing. But we respect your point of view, unlike Reverend Jackson, who doesn't have enough guts to show up here. You do.
Now, wait a minute,
and we appreciate
Bill,
it. 48 hours we gave the Reverend. 48 hours.
Well, Bill, why would he come here to be subjected to what you put?
Because he has to answer questions if he's going to take responsibility for his actions.
He doesn't have to answer it from you.
No,
I know that you must be a nice man.
He can just go on and make misstatement after misstatement. That's what he wants to do. I think the American people know.
Let me tell you what I want him to do. I want him to stay on the case and keep doing what he does for black and white folk in America.
Counsel, I'll tell you this. I respect you for taking the fire. We'll be right back as the Factor continues.
Shakes your world. It's time for Bengay SPA with sight-penetrating action. It targets relief at the site of pain, and it has a light, fresh scent. Bengay SPA. It feels like a whole new day.
Need a place to go every day for fresh ideas? HowTo.com. Headquarters for living.
We are 345.6 miles from El Paso, Texas. Austin is north-northeast. Turning south-southeast. Dry cleaner is 3.4 miles away. Buenos Aires. I am 45 feet above sea level. 47.
Should have bought you a tie.
You rely on Amazon.com for electronics and all sorts of gifts. They rely on priority mail to get it there fast and to save you money.
At this pace, we would get there in 12 days.
What's your priority?
It's a little thing that helps you with every morning. It's long-lasting Bounce freshness you can count on, because Bounce has time-released freshness. Bounce makes any morning a beautiful morning. And now, try new, even fresher outdoor fresh scent Bounce.
Here's a great way to create a fresh entrance with Bounce. In a new outdoor fresh scent that's fresher than ever. Tuck a Bounce sheet under a rug or anywhere you like and get unbeatable time-released freshness. Bounce. Sometimes the freshest ideas are right under your nose.
If you feel like your body chemistry is working overtime and you sweat more than other women, then you know it takes more than the strength of steel to deal with it. It takes the strength of platinum. Introducing Secret Platinum Protection. This platinum strength secret is the strongest form of antiperspirant you can get without a prescription. In fact, nothing is stronger. New Secret Platinum Protection. It's more than strong enough for them. It's strong enough for you.
Hello, I'm Mark John Jeffries, and I'm here to talk with you about People PC. What is People PC, you ask? It's simple. 1, a new brand name PC replaced every 3 years. 2, unlimited internet. 3, in-home servers. Yep, if all else fails, they come to you. 4, great deals on stuff you like from places you know. All for $24.95 a month. That's it. Let's review. For about the cost of internet service alone over here, you get unlimited internet, a new computer, in-home service, and great deals over here. All for $24.95 a month. How? Strength in numbers, my friends. Folks, I'm Mark John Jeffries for People PC. Thank you, and God bless.
In the Impact segment tonight, Don't get sick. Recently, I fired my doctor. The guy's office was chaotic. The people working there far more interested in getting immediate payment than in diagnosing anything, and the whole thing made me sick. So I fired the guy, and I yelled at him. He deserved it. The question is, why is the healthcare industry so bad in America? Here to provide a concise and clear answer is Jamie Court, the author of Making a Killing, HMOs and the Threat to Your Health. Mr. Court joins us now from Los Angeles. I don't want to get very micro into this. I mean, it bores people to tears with the HMO and this and that and the other thing. But there's a tremendous problem here in America with people who are sick and trying to get better. I recently had a kidney stone. It cost me $10,000 to get it treated. Come on. $10,000 to treat a kidney stone? What's going on?
There is a tremendous amount of profiteering in this industry, and in recent years, unfortunately, a lot of this profiteering has been on the part of corporations who have taken over the medical marketplace from doctors, from hospitals, from caregivers. And I think for years we did face price gouging, outrageous sums being asked for medical procedures, but we've gone so far the other way that what we're now finding is HMOs, corporations stepping into the doctor's office, making doctors call these 1-800 numbers before they do what's right for patients, and patients are facing denials and delays, stonewalling at every level of the system.
And people are dying because of it. There's an instance here in Long Island where a woman who didn't have health insurance died from a cancer that could have been treated and wasn't because nobody gave her a Medicaid card. And it's horror story after horror. But I want to see what can be done today. Now, I want to break it down. Do doctors charge too much money, in your opinion?
I think doctors for years were charging too much money, and they were self-dealing to laboratories and facilities they owned, and that's how we got stuck with corporations coming in and trying to rein them in.
Too much money for their services, and they were making deals, doing tests, and getting money from the tests and all of this business. Should government regulate what individual doctors can charge for their services?
Well, I think that...
As they do in Canada and some other European countries.
I think what the market has done right now is in California, we have 95% people in managed care where doctors are not setting a price for their service.
Right, but see, the managed care is not working. I mean, it's chaotic, and as you said, it's so much red tape you can be dead before they figure it out. If government would say, look, here are the services, here's what you charge. Now, that's socialized medicine in a way, but wouldn't that be better?
Well, I think we need a middle way. I think what we need is a not-for-profit health care system, so we don't have Wall Street in the doctor's office, but on the other hand, we don't have doctors who are allowed to price gouge. We don't have doctors who aren't being watched for the quality of services they delivered or the number of services they delivered.
Well, doctors are being watched for quality because you can sue them and ruin their lives, although the insurance rates they have jack up their prices. But what I'm seeing here, and listen, I'm not indicting all doctors. There are some very, very, the majority of doctors, I believe, are compassionate, fair people. But what we have here is an expensive system. And then you get the pharmaceutical companies who are charging crazy stuff for drugs. Again, should the government say to the pharmaceutical companies, okay, now, here's what you can charge, or not?
Well, I'll tell you, I think that government certainly has a role at setting appropriate rates for certain procedures so that we don't have a liver transplant operation costing $100,000 in one location and costing $30,000 in another.
Right, I agree with that.
The public clearly needs to know what the appropriate rate is, and the public also needs to know how much insurance companies are taking out of the dollar for themselves,
I mean,
how much
everybody's making money,
are taking out, how much doctors are taking out.
The hospitals are making money, and it's wrong. I'm a capitalist through and through, and I believe in the free marketplace, but when you're sick, that's not an industry to me. Now, I understand that the pharmaceuticals have to do R&D, research and development. I understand that they have to make a profit. But I believe that the government should step in and start regulating these things rather than these huge giveaways that Bill Bradley and other people want to institute, which are going to bleed everybody white as far as taxes are concerned. And we know in California, where you live, the Medicaid fraud out there is unbelievable. Hundreds of millions of bucks. The government can't run those programs, but they can institute wage and price controls.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, that one of the biggest perpetrators of Medicare fraud is for-profit corporations who have been ripping the system off because they have the capability to...
Give me an example.
Well, I'll tell you, there's an indictment against Columbia HCA right now for ripping off Medicare for overbilling them for things like their advertising, for administrative costs, and there's likely to be $1 billion fine issued against the largest hospital chain.
It's criminal in California and everywhere we got. So shouldn't there be a government agency, a federal agency like the FBI, let's call it the FMI, the Federal Medical Investigative Agency, that institutes fair price wage controls in the health industry and then make sure they're carried out? Isn't that the sane way to do this?
I think it is if we're talking about a global budget for how much the nation spends on health care, and then what's the appropriate use of those health care dollars? Because today you see 20 to 30 cents off of a premium dollar going in the pockets of HMO and insurance company executives and the people they hire to do marketing. And that is a waste.
People are making a lot of money.
Hundreds of billions of dollars while people are dying. And I guess where we get to at the end of our book, which tells a lot of very specific tales of patients who fought medical bureaucracies and sometimes won, but more often not, there was a devastating effect on their life and health. The end point of our book is saying, let's get back to a public utility-like model for healthcare. You got electricity, you got gas, you have these basic services, telephone service, and these things are regulated like as public utilities. And yet our healthcare is not a commodity, and it shouldn't be treated like a commodity. It shouldn't be treated just like other public utilities. I think it's got to be regulated by the federal government, and fairness and compassion have to be built into the programs. And if you don't like it, then get out, because people being sick should not be your ticket to a Mercedes-Benz. Hey, Mr. Court, I appreciate your time very much tonight. Thank you.
Plenty more ahead as the Factor continues. Senator Orrin Hatch on whether George W. is blowing it. Kate Bonner on why Donald Trump is saying the stuff he's saying. And Jackie Mason on Rudy and Hillary.
Who's at the center of online investing? The engine driving the revolution? The power behind the boom? Knight, the world's leading market maker, where the trade gets done.
I smell a dog? When your fabrics and upholstery smell bad, your whole room can smell. Now Clorox brings you a breakthrough. New Clorox Fresh Care Fabric Refresher with a patented ingredient that safely eliminates odors from fabrics, so your whole room smells clean.
The rug smells great. You still need a bath.
New Clorox Fresh Care. For your fabrics, it's a breath of fresh air.
So, how you doing?
Oh, miserable.
What?
Breakfast time, we sit around while folks pop something sweet from the toaster.
Oh, yeah.
What's not to love? Real eggs.
Hey, bacon.
And cheese. Say, what if somebody wrapped us up in a pastry crust and popped us up?
Pillsbury Toaster Scrambles. Real eggs, smoky bacon, creamy cheese in a flaky pastry crust right in your grocer's freezer. Mmm. Pillsbury Toaster Scrambles.
Look out, sweet stuff.
In recent government crash tests, no other SUV outperformed the Nissan Pathfinder in driver front impact collisions, passenger front impact collisions, driver side or passenger side impact collisions. You might say it's like being taken off the endangered species list.
Where do you find leading technology? Experienced traders, all working to help you get the best price? Knight, the world's leading market maker, where the trade gets done.
FoxNews.com. Powerful information at your fingertips. Instant access to news around the world. Business, health, sports, entertainment. FoxNews.com. The information you need, the place to go. The most powerful name in news on the web. FoxNews.com. Saturday.
Sex, drug addiction, poor parenting, scandalous affairs on the road to forgiveness and redemption. Actor, singer, and controversial author Eddie Fisher and Jay Barrymore, the mother of Hollywood sweetheart Drew Barrymore, tell all on the next Judith Regan Tonight.
In the Unresolved Problem segment tonight, some bad news for the Republicans. A new CBS poll says most Americans see the Democrats as stronger on education and health care, the two biggest issues thus far in the presidential campaign. Joining us now from Washington is Republican presidential contender, Senator Orrin Hatch from Utah. Senator, because we just did the health thing, and you have made the Associated Press wire today, I want to read what they say and have you react to it. Senator Orrin Hatch tells voters he's sympathetic to their concerns about costly prescription drugs, but he's also made some of his presidential campaign travel aboard a private jet owned by a major pharmaceutical company. The company Shearing Plow of New Jersey is fighting to keep a popular allergy pill from being cloned by generic drug makers. The issue is scheduled for vote today before the Senate Judiciary Committee, which Hatch chairs. So the AP is kind of laying it to you here, Senator. What's the deal?
Well, you know, I can't afford a private plane. My Skinny Cat campaign can't afford to buy a plane like George Bush, nor do I have access to Air Force Two like Al Gore. So I do occasionally, because of my schedule and because I have to do my Senate job, occasionally we'll try to get a private plane. And I always live within the law. And we pay.
Well, the Shearing Plow thing doesn't look good because you've got a rule on whether they can keep their Claritin patent for 2 years, and then you're flying around in their jet. That doesn't look good.
Well, the bill that's coming up, I'm not a co-sponsor of it, but I am the chairman of the committee, and that bill basically would provide a means whereby Shearing Plow could have an independent review board determine whether or not the FDA did them in on their patent extension or on their patent life. And that's a legitimate issue. There are other legitimate issues, too. The consumers have to be concerned. Should this patent life be extended? And they're weighing in rather heavily. The generic drug industry is weighing in.
Sure, it's a big brawl. But would you agree that it doesn't look good on the Shearing Plow thing?
To some people it may not, but as long as I live within the law and I do what is right,
all right.
And nobody would accuse me of trying to do something wrong there, because I'm always right in the middle of all this, and it happens to be the Hatch-Waxman bill that really created the modern generic drug industry and brought drug prices down so that senior citizens don't have to give up food in order to purchase some of their pharmaceuticals.
That brings me to my other question. Should the federal government take a more aggressive stance in regulating doctors' fees, prescription drug fees, and hospital fees? Should they do that?
If we did that, the more we get the federal government into it, the more costs go up because of the lack of supervision, the lack of intelligence.
Yeah, I know that.
The over-regulation of the healthcare system. That's why the private sector system is far superior. There have to be some regulations, but HICVA, the Healthcare Financing Agency, I got to tell you, they've lost up federal health care so badly that I
know
really
that,
don't have much confidence.
But the HMO system's out of control now, and people are dying because they can't get the right treatment. It just seems that somebody's got to step in and straighten this out. But we'll leave that to another day. Because
well, I'm going to be doing my best to help there.
I want to talk to you about the Republicans in the last 2 minutes we have here. George W. Bush stumbled on the foreign affairs quiz. Was that fair?
I don't think it was. You know, he didn't handle it very well. I think that was his problem. He looked like he got very upset, and some people criticized him for the way he handled it. You know, it'd be pretty hard for anybody to come up with some of these obscure leaders of very obscure places.
I couldn't do it.
But I think what he should have said is, what is this, Jeopardy here, or are we going to talk about real policy and foreign policy? And he should have laughed about it.
He could have diffused it. He could have diffused it. I think he was shocked because, you know, he's run a pretty distant campaign, hasn't been confronted very much.
Well,
now,
that's one of the problems.
Right, it is. It's a problem.
Because, you know, he hasn't, there's a real question about, does he have the experience to go up against an Al Gore or
now,
Bill Bradley?
Are you going to go after him in the debate that's coming up in a couple of weeks? You're going to go right for the governor?
Well, I'm not known for going after people. I'll just do my best, and I think when people realize that here's a guy that's really paid the price, he can walk into the White House and run it from day one because of the experience that I have, and of course I have a record of accomplishment that I think it'd be very tough to match. And everybody around here knows that I'm one of the few, and certainly the only one in this presidential campaign in either party, who has a reputation for bringing both sides together and getting things done.
All right, so you're not going to attack him directly, but you're going to try to outdo him by your experience as a member of the Senate for this many years.
Well, I'll be just trying to do the best I can. You know, a lot of people don't realize I'm in the race yet because I came in so late, so I just do the best I can.
Are you going to stay in if your poll numbers don't go up?
Oh, of course I am. You
yeah,
know,
you're in it for the long run?
You bet your life. This is we're 3 months away from it, and you know, a lot of things can happen. When I filed back in 1976, I filed literally at the last minute of the last day, and we still won it.
All right, Senator, you're always welcome on the broadcast, but we don't want you taking the Shearing Plow jet up here if you don't have to.
If I have to take it to save my Senate work, I'll do it. Don't you worry about it.
You're a stand-up guy. We appreciate it.
Okay.
We'll be right back with Donald Trump's latest.
Live, I'm Sheila Stayback. The Navy has recovered the cockpit voice recorder from EgyptAir Flight 990. We are joined right now by Fox News aviation analyst Rob Roth. Rob, what can you tell us about the meaning of this?
Well, hopefully the cockpit voice recorder tape survived the accident. We don't know yet that at the moment. If it did, this is the chance that investigators have been waiting for. The flight data recorder, which was recovered last week, indicated that several strange things happened before the crash. The autopilot was disconnected. The plane was sent into an extremely rapid descent. The throttles were pulled back, and the engines were shut down, by the pilots, evidently. But so far, nobody knows why these things happen. This recording might help investigators in solving this puzzle, because this recording will be of the sounds heard in the cockpit, not just the voices of the pilots, but also the sounds of anyone else who might have been in the cockpit, and the sounds of equipment being utilized or switches being thrown. So hopefully we can get some clue from here as to what happened before EgyptAir Flight 990 plunged into the ocean.
Rob, is there any chance that what we find out would still be inconclusive?
Well, you know, unfortunately, Sheila, I hate to say this, there have been cases in the past where the cockpit voice recorder tape was not usable.
Okay. That's Rob Roth, our aviation analyst. Thank you so much. And again, we will join a news conference live as soon as it happens. We'll return now to the O'Reilly Factor.
The label on our wines is an artistic composition of yellow, red, and blue, to which the critics have added just a touch of gold. Meridian Vineyard Chardonnay, a work of art.
You drag it, you bat it, drives you mad, but you can't get at it.
Say goodbye to dirt, dust, and hair with the new Pledge Grab It Sweeper and Claws. Because Pledge Grab It Claws are electrostatically charged to grab the stuff brooms and vacuums may miss.
You want to nab it, go on and grab it, so fast and light it could become a habit. Grab it!
And get rid of dirt, dust, and hair for good. New Pledge Grab It Sweeper and Claws.
Grab it!
When muscle pain or joint pain comes crashing down on you, then it's time for Bengay SPA, the latest in pain relief from Bengay. Bengay SPA, with site-penetrating action, targets relief right at the site of pain, and it has a light, fresh scent. Bengay SPA, with site-penetrating action. Suddenly, it feels like a whole new day. See this Sunday's paper for a money-saving coupon.
If you feel like your body chemistry is working overtime and you sweat more than other women, then you know it takes more than the strength of steel to deal with it. It takes the strength of platinum. Introducing Secret Platinum Protection. This platinum strength secret is the strongest form of antiperspirant you can get without a prescription. In fact, nothing is stronger. New Secret Platinum Protection. It's more than strong enough for them. It's strong enough for you.
This piece of art recently sold for $53 million. You can have this one for around $10. And it comes with this award-winning Chardonnay. Meridian Vineyards, a work of art.
Saturday.
Sex, drug addiction, poor parenting, scandalous affairs on the road to forgiveness and redemption. Actor, singer, and controversial author Eddie Fisher and Jade Barrymore, the mother of Hollywood sweetheart Drew Barrymore, tell all on the next Judith Regan Tonight.
Tonight, get your news straight from the source. Complete coverage, unbiased reporting, powerful prime time. It can only be Fox News Channel prime time. It's different, honest. Get real with the full Nelson tonight.
Thanks for staying with us. And Bill O'Reilly in the personal story segment tonight. Donald Trump's unfavorable rating stands at a whopping 70%, the highest among anybody considering the presidency. But the Donald continues to get massive media play, but things are getting a bit rougher. Listen to this exchange with Fox News correspondent Rick Leventhal.
Do you know how to get on the ballot in Texas?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Don't ask me history questions. My name's not George Bush. You don't have to build that.
What do you think about that?
I'm not going to... You want me to build up your name for the sake of your viewers?
No, that's not the point.
Like the man in Boston did successfully with Bush? No. I'm not here to answer your questions that way.
Oh, with us now is the co-author of Trump, The Art of the Comeback, Kate Bonner, who is also an executive at jagnotes.com, a financial internet play. Jagnotes.com. Is that a good plug?
Indeed, yeah.
All right, there you go. Now, Trump, would you vote for Trump for president? You know the guy.
You know why I'd vote for Trump? It would sell books. I'd go from being a co-author to a presidential biographer.
Try to divorce yourself a little, because I think he's doing this to sell his next book. But would you vote for him? I mean...
I would vote for Trump. I mean, first of all, I can't get too excited about voting for Al Gore, someone who hires Naomi Wolf to teach him to be an alpha male, and I can't get too excited about George Bush either.
Okay, but why would you vote for Trump rather than, because you don't like the others?
Specifically, I actually am more of a libertarian than any other sort of party affiliation, and I do believe in sell-side economics. And Trump is talking about this one-time tax hit, the 14.25% tax hit on the wealthy.
It's unconstitutional, by the way.
It is. I mean, I'm just saying whether or not, actually, it probably wouldn't work either, because these people often have huge equity stakes in their corporations.
And they'd all go to the Cayman Islands.
Exactly.
And everybody move.
But I do believe in that philosophy more. I lean more toward a flat tax.
Look,
I did work for Steve Forbes.
Let's talk about Donald Trump.
Okay.
Because I know that I've known him for a long time. And
are you a fan?
Am I a fan? No. But I'm not a fan of too many people. But I think that he has strengths and weaknesses, as we all do. But as a politician, I wouldn't vote for him to be the dog catcher. And I'll tell you why. Because I think that he's a businessman. That's what he wants to do. He wants to make money and he wants to be famous. He says things like, I never committed adultery or infidelity. I mean, that sent Marla and Ivana running for the dictionary. You know what I mean?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, man, what is he taking us all for fools here?
I mean, that was a mistake. I think
a mistake?
Donald likes to speak off the top of his head often, and
what is going on the top of his head anyway over there? What is that? I don't want to be mean because he does have strengths and weaknesses.
He's really a tycoon. I mean, Donald thinks big.
He's a tycoon.
He thinks big. He has big ideas. So oftentimes he'll put forth a tax plan like this plan that he announced yesterday or today. But
he got a lot of attention. He got on the front page of the New York Daily News, for example. But nobody takes this seriously.
I think pundits and economists are having a difficult time taking it seriously. I do believe that.
And then, you know, when he was interviewed by Rick Leventhal, he gets nasty to Rick. He didn't have to get nasty
Although I'll
to
tell
Rick.
you something, I think he fielded that question much better than Bush did.
Do you really?
Because what happened with Bush is he just looked flabbergasted. Suddenly, he was just going, General Lee, when he was asked who the general was. And Trump at least went on the offensive and sort of put an end to it. I mean, whether or not he's correct or not in terms of spin, I think he probably fielded it better than Bush.
All right, now I've been pretty harsh on him, so I'm going to let you have the last 2 minutes to tell us what you see in Donald Trump that you believe is worthy for the American people. I know he's not going to be president. He's not even going to run. I know all of that. But you know him, you traveled around with him.
Yeah.
What impressed you about him, other than the tycoon money business?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't always impress me anyway. But what impressed me the most about Trump is there's something about him. He has this quality where he instills in people, listen, you can do anything you want to do, which is why he's so popular amongst blue-collar workers. And it's sort of good negotiating with the unions and the construction guys and those types of people, because he just sort of takes charge of things. He makes decisions very quickly, and
So he's a leader.
He's a leader.
But do you really think he knows how regular Americans live?
I think he actually does know how regular Americans live.
How would he ever know that?
Because he's negotiating with these union guys all the time. He's got construction workers. He's walking around on construction projects all the time.
I don't think he's ever been to a regular neighborhood in his life. I mean, he lives up in the stars and he hangs around with rich people.
But he did grow up in Queens.
Yeah. Well, okay. He grew up in a wealthy home, and he's been a child of privilege.
He has been a child of privilege, but there are a lot of children of privilege who don't work. Donald Trump works his butt off.
Yeah, he works and he makes money, but
he doesn't have to work. He's worth a couple $1 billion.
Am I wrong when I say the bottom line on Donald Trump is he wants to be a star?
He does want to be a star.
Right.
And I think his life is like a movie. I really do.
Well,
I mean, movie stars get on the cover of the Daily News. You know, tycoons don't. When was the last time you saw Warren Buffett's picture on the cover of the Daily News? You just don't.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's a prerequisite. I got to give him this. He's using the media the way the media has never been used before.
They can't get enough of him.
Right.
It's
unbelievable. Outsmarting the media.
Donald sneezes and it's in Page 6.
Right.
I mean, they love him. And the thing about Donald is he takes the good with the bad. I mean, you know, Page 6 will write something negative, then the next day they'll write something positive, and he just lets it all sort of roll off his back.
All right. Kate Bonner, thanks very much for coming in, and, you know, 70% unfavorable, though, for Donald. I don't know. Next, Jackie Mason. There's only one Jackie, and he'll talk about Hillary and Rudy. I can't wait for that in a moment.
Filmmaking is war. Whole body starts to get hot.
We asked today's hottest directors to switch antiperspirants.
Ultra Dry Degree.
When your body heat rises, Degree's powerful Ultra Dry form releases extra protection.
Kind of kicked in, you know what I mean? Not an ounce of sweat.
Degree Ultra Dry. I may look young,
but I'd still suffer from hot flashes. I discovered a natural way to deal with it. New Healthy Woman from the makers of Monistat. Healthy Woman's a soy menopause supplement that helps relieve hot flashes in a natural way. New Healthy Woman.
If you were a new luxury car, how would you stand apart from the rest? Would you have the most powerful V6 in your class? Or the largest interior? Maybe you'd offer amenities you couldn't find anywhere else. Imagine how special you'd be if you could claim all of them. Presenting the all-new Infiniti i30. It's all the best thinking.
If you're taking Humulin 7030 or Humulin N, Independence Day is here. No more vials or syringes. No refrigeration after first use. Introducing the Humulin Pen. It's so portable. Call this number and get your free video kit. Then talk to your doctor. Discover how easy it is to dose anywhere, anytime, in no time. In this video, you'll learn all about the pen, how it comes already filled, how to dial your exact dose, and how, when it's empty, you just throw it away.
Lift your thing, do what you want to do.
Starting or changing insulin therapy should be done cautiously under a doctor's supervision.
Lift your thing, do what you want to do.
Call now for this free video kit. Learn all about the Humulin Pen from Lilly.
There's something about a clear answer to a computer question that makes me want to kiss someone.
Introducing Dell for Me, a new way to buy and own a computer. It lets you get more out of the latest technology. Choose the system you need.
My homepage is my castle.
Even create your own personal website. Since you're dealing directly with Dell, it's easy.
It's pure economics. An affordable computer means more black shoes.
This Dimension desktop featuring an Intel Celeron processor at 400 megahertz, 1 year of DellNet internet access, and everything you see here is just $9.99.
I wish my computer came with a little cyber geek who lived up here on the roof and just came down whenever I had a question.
And Dell for Me includes tech support 24/7.
Tech support?
It's all about putting everything you need in one place. It's all about you.
Sitting in front of my computer is just as exciting as those extreme sports.
Call to order your Dell Dimension with an Intel Celeron processor. Be direct. Dell.
In the back of the book segment tonight, comedian Jackie Mason. On November 16th, Mr. Mason opens on Broadway with his new one-man show called Much Ado About Everything. Included in that everything will be some very pointed political material, and I'm betting Hillary and Rudy will be mentioned. Jackie Mason joins us now from Chicago, where he's performing in preparation for his Broadway show. Hey, this Hillary Rudy thing, I mean, they're serving it up to you. You talk about a big, fat softball coming right at you. What's your point of view on it?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not going to tell you any jokes for these prices because I'm saving them for my Broadway show. If I start being too funny here, everybody's going to save $100 and nobody will show up. So I'm going to try my best not to be too funny here. I don't want to show too much talent for these prices. But I'll tell you what I think. I think that her candidacy is one of the great, great frauds of all time. If it wasn't her, and she went to a job to become a senator with her background, would anybody even listen to her for a second? If anything, the fact that it's so should make it a lot worse because the only thing she ever accomplished is to be able to stay out of jail after defrauding her country 100 times.
Yeah, but look, I mean,
so her claim is...
I don't know how you, Jackie, I don't know how you can say this.
Let me finish this point. I know you're a great talker and you talk on top of everybody, but I'm a sensation in show business. Give me 1 second here. You got a whole night. I got 7 minutes. I'm talking fast. I got to get in my tweets.
All right, go ahead now.
This is it. The truth of the matter is, if it was anybody but her, who would consider her seriously for the Senate race compared to a guy like Giuliani? Everybody says about Giuliani that he saved the city, that it was a dump, it was all over for the city, that it was nothing but crime and murderers and treachery and deception, the fraud and chicanery and dirt and garbage and filter. That's what the whole city was made out of, about to go into a toilet. His worst enemies admit that he saved the city. So he did a Herculean thing that was unbelievable. Nobody thought it could be accomplished. Then, as a reward for this, we should vote for her who accomplished nothing. And her great claim to fame is that she had a health care program that went into a toilet. She defended a liar for 7 years, and she was a partner with him and an accomplice
Yeah, but
with him.
to be fair, I mean, she is part Jewish now. She's just going for the Jewish vote, Jackie, and these are your people. You know that, and
that's right. She's part Jewish, like you're part black, and I'm part Eskimo. She's part anything. Whoever walks by, she'll be part of it. If she found out there's 3 Jewish votes, she's Jewish. If tomorrow she takes a taxi, she'll be an Indian. If the next day she's in Iceland, she'll be an Eskimo.
But you're a friend of Giuliani now. Is this fair? Because you're going to...
The truth of the matter is that you should be objective and honest, but my friendship with Giuliani has absolutely nothing to do. My friendship with Giuliani doesn't become loyal because he's my friend.
Are you going to take some shots at him?
I'm not like Gore, who would become loyal to a liar and a thief and a fraud, and then say after he's looking for a job 5 years later, I always thought he was a liar. I always knew he was a fraud.
But are you going to take any shots at Rudy, though? Are you going to take any shots at...
Hello, I'm Sheila Stamack. This is the Fox First. The Navy has recovered the cockpit black box recording from EgyptAir Flight 990. We're going to take you now live to a news conference in Newport, Rhode Island by the National Transportation Safety Board for what this all means. Let's listen in.
Of the Boston Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This evening at 10:15, I received a call from the Admiral. Since that time, I have had conversations with the White House, with the Egyptian ambassador to the United States, with Secretary Slater, Administrator Garvey, Director Louis Freeh, and the Governor of Rhode Island concerning the announcement the Admiral is now going to share with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At about 12 minutes after 10 this evening, we were notified that the cockpit voice recorder had been recovered. It is currently on deck USS Grapple. It was located in the vicinity of the pinger around which we have been searching during this break in the weather. We have a little data on the condition of the recorder. The black box was separated from the pinger. It was missing its nameplate data, and it is bent on one side. And that's the only information we have on its condition. Our intentions are to transfer it by boat in the morning from Grapple to Austin, and then by helicopter from Austin to Washington to the NTSB. It will arrive in Washington around noon tomorrow. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate the sailors and the civilian mariners of Grapple, Captain Marsh's men and women of the Supervisor of Salvage, for completing this phase of the mission. Thank you.
Of course, I'd like to add my congratulations and thanks to the Admiral, to Captain Graham and Captain Marsh. I'd like to thank the individuals who actually operate this equipment, as well as the divers who were on these ships and stood by if they're, unfortunately, it was not safe conditions, but nevertheless we had them deployed. This has been a lot of hard work on behalf of a lot of individuals, and the credit goes to the men and women that have been out there on the sea doing the work. So in a most responsible fashion, as the Admiral mentioned, we will take possession of the recorder tomorrow. The Federal Bureau of Investigation will, as they did with the flight data recorder, accompany the, provide for the accompaniment of the recorder down to Washington, and then the NTSB will take it into the laboratories for a readout. We are hopeful that we will have good voice information off this recorder. Due to the condition we received the flight data recorder in, that obviously is a question until we have an opportunity to get the recorder into our laboratories in Washington and have it inspected by our experts. I appreciate very much the media coming out this evening. The Admiral and I, as we had promised, were here as soon as to the media center as soon as we had the information. And we will be glad to entertain one or two questions if there are any. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. Yes, ma'am.
Was the goal that the voice recorder would be better condition than the data recorder?
The Admiral gave you all the information we have on the voice recorder this evening. Yes, sir.
Will the FBI be part of the group listening to the cockpit voice recorder?
We have a standard procedures at the NTSB for listening to the voice recordings, and they will be followed. Mr. Phillips?
Yes. Could someone explain exactly how it was found? Was it dug out of the silt? Was it seen on the bottom?
Well, Mr. Phillips, I think what we had received from the ship tonight was that it was found. We'll try to get those details and have them for you in the morning. Yes, ma'am.
What happens now with the rest of the search? Will you suspend things until you have a chance to listen to the recorder, or will you continue to look through the records?
Well, we will probably have to suspend things due to the weather that is going to be coming in tomorrow evening. However, we will be reading the recorder out, and I will have a briefing tomorrow from the United States Navy on the options on how we proceed with the recovery. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us, sir, whether the pinger was intact with the recorder, whether it was separate?
It was separate. Thank you all very much for coming out this evening. We appreciate your coming here, and we're pleased that we were able to share this very important news with the family members in Egypt, the family members in the United States, Canada, Germany, and the other countries that involved, that this is a very significant moment for this investigation. Thank you.
Chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board, that was James Hall, telling us and confirming tonight that the Navy has recovered the cockpit voice box recorder from EgyptAir Flight 990 at the bottom of the sea. They were saying they're going to be flying it to D.C., where it will be undergoing analysis by noon tomorrow. Now, on the phone with us is the Fox News analyst, Rob Roth, our aviation analyst, to talk to us about what you've heard. Rob, they talked about how it's bent on the side, that it's missing its nameplate data. Anything you heard that can give us some kind of clues of what this might mean?
Well, unfortunately, Sheila, on my end, the signal was very bad. I didn't get a lot of it, but I can tell you this. The question is not what the exterior of the cockpit voice recorder looks like. The question is, really, the one and truly question is, what is the condition of the tape? What will the condition of the tape be when it's played? Will they hear anything? That's the most important question.
They said it was separated from its pinger. What does that mean?
The pinger is what is formally called the underwater acoustic transponder. That is the little device on the outside of the box that transmits a signal so that it can be detected by sonar. We know last week one of the difficulties in the underwater robot, deep drone, finding the flight data recorder was that they were homing in on a signal from a pinger, but the pinger had separated from the box, and they just found the flight data recorder 10 feet away as a matter of luck.
Now, the flight data recorder, I believe, was missing its final 10 seconds of transmission or recording. I guess that's probably part of the problem with this voice recording. We don't know how much of it is going to be recoverable.
Well, we don't know how much, if any of it, is going to be recoverable. I mean, one thing that I should have mentioned to you before was clearly for the pinger to separate from the outside of the box, that indicates a tremendous amount of force that this box underwent when it hit the water, or, certainly when it hit the bottom of the ocean. And with this amount of force, what the condition of what is inside the box is something that's, we can only hope and pray it's still in good condition.
Rob, take us through some of the things that we're going to be looking to hear from once they start going through and undergoing the analysis tomorrow in D.C. or later today, 12 noon in D.C. What are some of the questions they're first going to be looking for to answer?
Well, Sheila, we want to know, first of all, what were the pilots saying to each other? What commands did the captain issue? What responses did the first officer give? After all, we can see that the autopilot was disconnected. Did the captain command a disconnect of the autopilot? The throttles were pulled back. Did the captain ask for that? Why did these things happen? That's the first step. What did the pilots say to each other? The next step is, what other sounds are heard in the cockpit? Those could be the sounds of voices, whether there was anyone else in the cockpit, perhaps another crew member or perhaps an intruder. Finally, what were the sounds of the instruments? Were there any warning sounds? Chairman Hall mentioned that the flight data recorder indicated that a warning alert was issued. But were there any other sounds, for example, tones, bells, horns of any other kind, or the sounds of switches being pushed, or the sounds of instruments being activated? The Safety Board will surely listen for all of these things.
Rob, in the entire aviation history that you are aware of, and certainly of all the crashes that we come across as journalists, it's not too often that you don't get absolutely anything from these voice recorders, do you not? I mean, is there a chance that that might happen?
Well, it could happen. In the Lauda air crash that everyone spoke about recently, because it was the first fatal accident of a 767 back in 1991, the flight data recorder was completely incinerated in the ensuing fire, and the cockpit voice recorder was missing about the last 10 or 15 minutes, so it was rather, it only had the beginning of it. It was very confusing at first to investigators. Sometimes tapes survive, sometimes they don't. This tape has clearly been through a lot in going in this incredible G-force rapid descent and then going 270 feet down in the water. What will be, I don't know of any other accident where the tape went through quite so much.
Now, it said the Navy admiral who was making the announcement talked about the nameplate data was missing. Was that just a military way of saying the sign on the voice recorder was not there?
Yeah, ordinarily, Sheila, there is a little plate on the side of the box which will say something like the name of the manufacturer, the serial number, and the type. So for argument's sake, it's theoretically possible it could say something like Allied Signal Corporation, cockpit voice recorder, model number 123. Allied Signal makes cockpit voice recorders. I don't know whether or not they made this one.
Of course, they still have to recover the rest of the material beneath the ocean to make this a more complete finding.
Well, whatever they can get will be very, very helpful. But let me say this. Sometimes cockpit voice recorders are conclusive. Sometimes they just provide a clue.
Okay. Rob Roth, thank you so much. This has been a Fox First. We rejoin our regular programming.
This has been a Fox First.